I always think it's so funny when like CCOs are like, we're making the world better through advertising. It's like, you work for Exxon.
Yeah. I'm Jake. I'm Austin, and together we run 626, an LA-based creative studio.
Over the past 6 years, we've generated over 8 figures in revenue and have produced content for some of the biggest artists and brands, from Samsung to Amazon and Doja Cat to Billie Eilish.
Join us in the Gritter, where we go behind the scenes with this generation's leaders and talk all things creative and marketing.
Let's go.
Today we are joined by a very special guest and friend, Tom Mishra. Tom's based out of New York City. He's a director, a writer, and a producer. He's worked with brands such as Adidas, Lincoln, Mountain Dew, and has received recognition as an endorsed cover fly writer, in addition to accolades from the Tribeca Film Festival, the Webbies, Clios, and Cannes Lions. He's worked for such companies Annex 88, J. Walter Thompson, and Eisenberg. He's currently a freelance filmmaker and has just recently published a graphic novel called Polarized, which we'll be diving into today. Tom, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, of course, sure.
You guys are like my heroes.
Thank you, man.
Because you're doing what I really wish I was doing. I think you're younger than me, and I'm young.
A couple years, yeah.
You're a couple years younger.
Younger than you.
I'm gonna kill myself now.
But you've done so much great stuff, and you cover like such a wide array of things.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of anxiety and ADD.
Yeah,
and just like not like just like a Napoleonic complex where I'm like, oh, well, that guy's making this much money and this, well, I'm going to make a comic book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love if you could just tell us a little bit just about your like background and just how you got to what you're doing and just like what parts of it you love and like what do you want to be doing more of down the line.
Yeah, so I went to film school at NYU and kind of realized it was a good program, but I realized like the school, they give you everything you need to like go be a filmmaker, but most people take that and then they just go be an assistant for 30 years. And I just didn't want to do that. Like I interned at quite a few like big companies during college. I interned at Scorsese's company. I actually interned at the Weinstein company, which was wild. Yeah. But my junior and senior year, I met this like really cool professor, Jonathan Weinstein, who used to run Go Film. And he kind of just showed me this world in advertising where you can be making things right out of college. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be making stuff. I didn't want to be like, scheduling stuff for someone else and all that. So he helped me get a job at JWT right out of college. And I got really lucky at JWT because when I started there, everyone started getting fired. It was pretty a crazy time there. Like the person who hired me, the head of production, month in left. There was like a crazy.
What was your role?
I started as a assistant producer.
Okay. What qualified you for that?
I made a Mountain Dew commercial my senior year. Like they had like some like contest. Like we'll give you $25K to make a 30-second pre-roll.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's so funny how budgets work. $25K then was like,
huge.
I was like, I am Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Like we had CGI, it was like we closed down a street. What you can do with a budget when you're younger is so much different than what you can do now, like as you get older. So yeah, I did that commercial and then they were like, yeah, you seem like you'd be a good fit for this. Like come take a job. Like my first month, the global CEO of JWT got canceled. Like canceled before people were getting canceled. He said some crazy shit.
Oh, wow.
And then he got fired. My head of production who hired me left a month later. And so like the agency was just like in chaos and they just had full ups and like they didn't have the producers to do it. So they just gave me opportunities. And then there was just like a really good culture of JWT of like people who had been there for like 20 years who took people under their wing. So I just got really lucky meeting some of these older creatives who were like still supportive of me today. They just helped me like build out my reel really early on, which has helped me now sustain like a freelance career.
Have you always wanted to be freelance or like did you ever want to just like stay at one company?
No, I remember like when I was assistant producer, they brought in this like freelance producer. Like I was working like on 7 projects because of your staff. So they're like, there's no rules. Yeah. And they brought in this one freelance producer who worked on one job, and then she told me her day rate, and I was just like, I gotta do what you're doing. That's like, what? This fucking sucks. I'm getting like beat up doing 100 projects working like 80 hours, 100 hours a week. I've been writing scripts since like middle school. Like, I cleaned up my bedroom recently, and I found like the first script I wrote. So like, I've always wanted to. You know what? It was like a superhero script.
Oh, sick.
And like about someone with super speed. I think I copied a Smallville episode. To be honest, I was a big Smallville fan.
Yeah.
Shout out Tom Welling. So I've always like wanted to just like write scripts. So I knew that when you're staff, you just like you lose all your personal time. Like it just goes to. You have protections. You have health insurance. Like my health insurance is terrible. My health insurance don't get sick, but like
Yeah.
But as freelance, I have time to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Like I will take like weeks off between jobs, and like then I get in really, for me, really good shape. I think, I see like shredded guys, and I'm like, I'll never be that. But anyway, yeah, because I saw once I heard her day rate and I saw how different she got treated, I was like, you're doing this right.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I had to like get a base level of experience under my belt before, but now I'm in like a nice place where like agencies just call me and they're like, hey, we're short staffed right now. We got this one project that like no one wants to do. Would you come in for 2 months and do it? And I'm always, if I'm available, I try to make it work because advertising is nice because there's like really cool, creative people. There's shitty people and there's shitty clients, but for the most part, you meet like really soulful, nice people who are just like here to make enough money to be creative and then do the thing that really makes them happy on the side.
Which is exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
How do you go, just like advice for someone like that wants to go the freelance route? Like, how did you build that Rolodex of like through networking and stuff to get in the position where people are just like calling you now?
I had some severe panic attacks and had to quit my full-time jobs. And
Go all in.
yeah, I think I worked staff 2 to 3 years at JWT and like 1.5 years at Annex 88 and Havas. And the way the industry works is like no one stays at a company anymore for more than 2 years. If you're a company for 2 years, like you're considered a lifer. So like people leave and then they go to a new shop and they always need producers. So I get calls and like at this point I've never wrapped a job within a week someone calling me for something.
Yeah.
I might always like
Awesome.
yeah, like there was this really cool director, Josh Weinstein. He's made an amazing movie for A24.
Lots of Weinsteins you've worked with.
Yeah, no, but this is a good Weinstein.
Okay.
This is he's an amazing Weinstein. He made a movie called Menage, and I did a Men's Warehouse campaign with him, and he kind of took me under his wing. He like showed me like he's like, yeah, like I just like email people out of the blue like, how are you, and then I book a job. Like and it was like, wow, it's that simple. Because I see people with like crazy curated brands on Instagram who are probably working insane too, but like, I don't like putting myself out there like that. And like once he told me you can just be emailing people, I was like, oh, I like talking to people.
And he does that as a director. He emails potential clients.
The director, DP, he made a feature with A24, and if you've ever seen his movie on Netflix, it's beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So he's just someone who's always.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I feel like these days for directors, it's like, yeah, you could lean on your production company or your reps as a director to like bring you work, but I think the most successful directors are directors that are out there hustling in addition to their teams.
Yeah.
To just be like the biggest and strongest powerhouses and to be the most successful.
Well, I mean, that's another reason. That's a good point. I guess another reason why I'm freelance is because like I want to be a director.
Yeah.
And you can't be a staff director.
Yeah.
Directing jobs are like they come up. It's like, you said it's like we got 3 days of prep on that job and then we just made it. Like, they come up and then they're done.
Yeah, but no work is guaranteed as a director.
Exactly.
It's so competitive.
Yeah.
There's so many other directors out there and there's only so many jobs, and it's like it truly is hard to just be a director and to survive unless you're like established.
When I'm agency producing, right, like, I'll triple bid stuff and I see the other side of it, and it's like, it's crazy how silly the conversations are. Like, we'll have a director who's like so hungry, wants it, their treatment is beautiful, the call, everyone's getting along, but then there's another director who has done the spot 8 times.
Yep.
So the client wants that director, and it's like, well, is that director going to be that hungry for this?
Does the agency fight that with the client, or like, look,
sometimes the agency takes that side. Like sometimes the agency wants
play it safe. I don't want to look bad in case it goes out.
And then a lot of the times, though, a lot of agency creatives want someone they can name drop.
Yeah, of course.
Like they want
Very
that
start
name.
maker.
Yeah, because well, when you're an agency creative, like it's competitive too to get your idea made. You're fighting for your other creatives. You're working crazy hours. Everyone's at the agency bar or the happy hour, and like, you want to be like, yeah, we're working with the guy who made all the Eminem music videos from the '90s, and like when there was like someone younger who was like, dude, they'll kill it. Then that person who didn't get it does like a weekend video 3 years later, and I'm always like, yeah, I knew that was the right one.
Yeah.
It's a weird world, like,
Yeah.
but I find that now, like, whenever I talk to reps, and I'm like, yeah, I want to be a director, or like rep me, they're like, you have literally no directing project that's like the other projects. Like, and I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Like, as an agency producer, I would see my reel and go, I can't sell. It's not even worth it.
It's good that you're able to be like honest with yourself.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a problem though, because I think directors are not honest. Like, successful directors are not honest themselves. They think they deserve every job,
For sure.
right? And that's why they get them, because they're like,
Yeah.
and then they do deserve it. Like, I don't know. It's like I think I have like some self-fulfilling prophecies that get in the way sometimes. Like, I'm waiting for like the thing to not work out rather than I'm like, oh, it's gonna. And so then I think I sometimes take a little too much producing work.
Yeah.
And then I'm like pigeonholed as that.
I hear that. But it's just hard to like sit around and like say no to a job in hopes of a directing project.
Exactly.
Up.
No, I mean, there's been times where I'm like bidding something as a director, and then someone hits me up and they're like, dude, I'll employ you for 4 months. Your day rate, I'm going to make as much on the producing job as probably more than the directing job. So I'm like, what do I say? Like, yeah. And then like, I'll call up the agency I'm bidding as a director. I'm like, yeah, when are you going to hear back? Like, we hope in a week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's just no security here.
Yeah.
And then I end up taking the producing job, and I don't push as hard for that directing job,
Yeah. Directing wise, like, what do you ideally want to be directing?
So I think this is also why I'm not I want to direct stuff that I write. That's what I'm hungry for.
Like original content.
Yeah, like I want to make Polarized as a
Yeah.
feature. I'm writing this other script right now that like I think I might just like self-fund and do, because I kind of learned that process on this guy. So like it's hard. Like I think there are commercial directors who are like, yeah, I want to do a Porsche spot. Like, there's brands they want to work with. There's never been a brand I'm like, I want to direct that spot. And so I think that probably, again, is like getting in the way of me being a director.
Yeah.
But
I'm curious, just to dive back more and just to being like a producer. I'm so curious, like, what is the day in the life of that like entail? Like,
yeah,
like from when you're like finding directors or trying to get the creative through, and then like managing obviously like the production and then the client. Like, what does that look like on your end?
Yeah, so like, when I'm a freelance agency producer, head of production usually calls me. He goes, hey, like, we have some productions coming up for X brand. Do you want to come on board? And I go, yeah, sure. So then I'm hired, and usually the creative is starting to be developed. You got like ballpark all those ideas. That means calling vendors who I think would be good for it, getting ahead of schedule. Like, hey, we might shoot this in 3 months. Like, what do you think of it? What do you think it would cost? Looking back, some projects I've already done and ballparking it. I think some creatives like me for this. Some creatives don't like me for this. Like, I'll start giving creative input too from the get-go, because I know the parameters of the budget. So I know certain things, like, we want 12 actors in this. You can afford 4. So, but like, let's figure out, we can be creative around it. And then once the creative is locked by the clients, I'm trying to push away from triple bidding more and more. I like trying to find just the right person for it, and then just really build it out with them. But, typical agency producing, you triple bid. Vendor A, vendor B, vendor C. Vendor A is going to be too expensive, but like everyone wants to name drop that. Vendor C is going to come in low, but like, that person's going to hustle. Vendor B somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Do you see it usually then going, they either pick A or C?
It depends on the creatives, honestly. Some creatives are like, yeah, let's fucking help give someone an opportunity of a lifetime. Other creatives are like, all right, this is just a job. Let's hire the person who's going to make this the easiest on us, who will be able to like, it varies. I think the B person's in the best position because like, I think the B person's in the best position because like, they're
a safe bet.
they're right for it. You know, like they're not like, because a lot of times like the name dropping person is like, I'm not going to cut my budget. So like I said, clients want the person who has, they want a name drop, or they want the person who has the spot, the boards in their reel. But what they really want is to be under budget.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they get that money back. So
I think
like,
it also just depends though on who the client is, and like if they give a shit about the creative, or if they just like care about the budget more type of thing.
some clients are like, there's like ex creatives who move client side, and those are great sometimes, like, because they're like, they know how to work with the agency.
Yeah.
Other clients are just like marketing people, and you know, you could tell they went to like some like managerial training program where like they got to say like 3 things every call, and it's like, what are, you're not being you're not helping the project, like you're just saying things like, and those are the worst, and those are the people who just want to hit the budget, and then that helps the, you know, that C person, and the B person. I think the thing that I found with like triple bidding, the person who has the best phone call typically is the one who's gonna get it. It's like, I don't know, I personally, like, the whole triple bidding process is like messed up, because the agency is getting paid to do that. The production company is not.
We're losing money.
Literally losing money. So, and because I've been on both sides of it, more and more I'm really trying to push away from that, because I don't like making people work for free. I feel horrible, actually. Like, I get really guilty about it. Higher end production companies are like, we like it, we like the competition, but like, I don't know, I just don't think it's a sustainable, especially with budget shrinking. It's not a sustainable practice. And it's messed up, because like, there's probably a director who just gets bad luck, loses like 4 bids in a row, and it's like, how the fuck do you pay your rent after that? Like, these guys aren't making huge money where they can not make money for 6 months.
That's again back to like why being a director, like it's hard to survive strictly as a director unless you're really like a top billing director. Like,
if you're the ace of the production company, you're probably working really well. But like all those other rosters, I'm always curious, like some of these like big production companies that have like 30 directors. I'm like, how often are these people working? Like,
they can't be. They get lost in the mix. Every production company has their priority focus on like who they're really trying to get work for. And it's like, if you're not a priority, it's like you're not gonna work as much.
But there is like giant production companies that are like this, you know, like the A-list of the A-list ones, right? And they have like 25 directors. I was like, yeah, check your site regularly, because like I'm inspired by your roster, but like, you're not making, like, if you had 25 directors, you'd be making like 25 original 30, you know, campaigns a month.
Exactly.
Right? And I go, and you're saying, it's like, you put something new every other month.
I mean, some directors too, like, they're either doing like features, they do stuff on the side, and they're like, if you guys see a job that's perfect for me, I'm down for it. I would love to do just one job a year if I can, to make an extra like 20 to 50 grand on it type of thing. And there are other people who come in, they're like, I want to be a full-time commercial director, and I want to be working once a month. Like, other people are like, I love to do one a quarter. So it kind of just depends. But there's no way at any company like everyone's working like that. And I'll look at it, I'm always fascinated, like, how do you make money? Like, how do you pay rent most of the time? Like,
I feel like a lot of directors, like, they just don't need money, whether like you said, they do features, or they work in television, or they have some other like art practice. Those are always the coolest directors, who are like, just like painters, and they're like on a roster, and they do a thing once a year. But I feel like a good amount just like, you know, they got a rich parent or a rich spouse, and they're like, I'm a director now. Like, they're just like, no, you're just unemployed.
Totally. I'm curious, one thing from your side, I've always wondered, like, do clients ever come in and they're like, our expectations on this is like, we don't care what it costs, I want to go crazy and I want to win an award for this creative, or it's like, I don't care about it, we just have to hit the budget and have something to put out there?
It really varies. I think that mandate will come from the agency sometimes, where like they'll just throw money into a project because they want awards. I kind of think those like Con Lions, Clios, all that stuff is like it's insane how much money agencies spend for the case studies to submit to those competitions, because they want, they want to be the agency that got 30 lions, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, at what cost? Like, I did a campaign, and it was like a 7-minute documentary, and then they ended up turning it into like a TV spot that like played the World Series. And the whole campaign, we did it for under 100K, and then they spent more than 100K on the case studies. And I was fucking furious. I was like, bro, like I wanted a rig. I wanted certain things that we weren't able to get, and then we worked our asses off. Agency realized like, oh, this is gonna, because higher ups, executives get bonuses for winning awards, so they don't care the money that's spent, because that's money they're not going to get. But if they win the award, then they'll get it from the holding companies. So it's like a messed up cycle.
So it's like if the work turns out cool, then now let me convince them to throw a bunch more money into this project.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, all the projects I've done that have won a lot of awards have all been that. Like we made them for nothing, and then the agency sees it and they're like, all right, this is gonna get us the awards. And then I never got to go to the award shows. I'd never been to con. It's really, at JWT, I produced like the only things that won awards.
Yeah.
Two or 3 years in a row. Never once got to go to con.
Wow.
But I don't think I would like it, honestly. Like, I go to Europe
Yeah.
and like, I don't want to see people from work when I go
I feel that.
to Europe, you know? Like,
That's
I
fair.
want to like be on the beach with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I want to go to the galleries. I want to like
Yeah.
get in some stupid adventure shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to like network and like, oh, that guy works at that agency, so or not say something stupid around him so that 6 months from now he'll give me a freelance job.
Yeah.
Have you done any crazy jobs where they're like the budget's like 200 grand or something, and then at the end of it you're at like 700 grand or something absurd, and you're like, well, why didn't you just tell us you had that from the beginning type of thing?
Dude, this time last year, that was exactly what I was doing. I can't say the client, but like they had their own internal agency, and it was ridiculous. Yeah, we started out like 100, and then we spent 500 by the end of it. Something like that. Some crazy shit.
Were they trying to be like sticklers at the beginning, like, oh, we
Yeah, and they were dictating every person that we used. So like they picked the photographer, they picked the DP, they ended up rewriting the creative. Like we were just a bank for them.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the worst projects I've done in my career.
I'm curious, touching on like the traditional triple bid model of ad agencies, and like whenever you're coming in as a freelance producer to an agency on a job, like you're pushing for it not to be triple bid.
Yeah, because it's more work on every single person, and like this always happens. Like, you know, you triple bid, you got 3-hour calls, everyone's exhausted by that third director call, and it's so rude to that director because everyone can tell they're dead.
Yep.
They're dead. And I've been on the other side where I triple bid, I'm like, oh, these guys are tired. They don't want to fucking talk to me.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you try to bring the energy, but it's like they already picked who they want.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a messed up practice because
isn't it though, coming from the like agency, but the agency's like contract with the clients and will triple bid all the projects?
Oftentimes it comes from the client. Oftentimes the account director or the ECD wants a triple bid. Like,
they want options.
Yeah. I mean, I think the mandate comes from a million different people, but I also
Clients prefer it, you think?
Sometimes, a lot of times you triple bid, and then you get to the meeting with the client, and then you only show them one.
Yeah.
Like,
Shove your reco.
Yeah, and they don't really care about the others. They just want to know that you did it.
Yeah.
You know, I guess like if you're the client, this is the way you understand that the prices have been vetted. Like, you don't know how production works. You just see like a $500,000 invoice, and you're like, you want to understand why that's the number. So in their head, they triple bid it.
Yeah, that part makes sense to me.
It's like if you ever make a feature, right, and you want the line producer to budget it, they charge you for the week they spend budgeting it.
For sure.
You know? But when you do a triple bid, like that's honestly a longer process because like creators have notes on the treatment, producers have notes on the bid. You gotta go back and forth. There's certain rate cards that have been negotiated that have nothing to do with the production company, but now they had to do it. Like they have all these like annoying rules that you're just making a line producer or EP, a production company, do for free, or the production company is just paying someone in the hopes that they'll get it and then put it on the markup. And then on top of it, you have the cost consultant that makes them like just kill their rates, and it becomes a game. Like we're like I've been on both ends. We're like, you know, I'm bidding something and I know a cost consultant's going to get it. So I'm like, yo, just pad this the fuck out of it because they're going to kill it.
Yeah.
And like, let's just know between you and me, we can hit this number, but like, we know they're going to cut 10% of it. So let's figure out where we put 10% padding so that when they cut it, you know, we're good. or they don't cut it and then it's like, all right, party time.
Yep.
But
What's the alternative though? What do you think it is to make
to
like?
triple bidding?
Yeah.
Well, if you're doing $1 million spot, I think you should triple bid. I think like that's like,
So for bigger jobs.
yeah,
Do
but
you
like
think you should do it for the creative or for the budget standpoint?
for both. I think it's like if you're on the end of the agency and the client, like you're gonna spend that much money, like you should do the due diligence. But what's happening is like I haven't gotten $1 million spot since my first year at JWT. Like those budgets don't exist anymore. Now it's like, yeah, we have $100K to make a 10-part series on YouTube, quadruple bid it, and it's like I think the practice is even more fucked up in music videos.
Mm-hmm.
But
What do you think when it's like 100K or somewhere around that range? Then it's like just like go with who you trust.
I just think it's like, why are you making people put so much work into free work for something that's, yeah, like the job will take 2 weeks and you're going to make a week's worth of money because it's such a low budget, but you want to do it. But then you got to work 3 weeks extra with no money and no guarantee of money to get that. And it's not right. And as an agency producer, my job is to do this. So,
Yeah.
Future freelance clients are listening. I triple bid,
Yeah.
but I push against it. I try to,
For everyone's sake.
yeah, it's tiring for the agency too.
Mhm.
There are certain budgets where I'm like, yeah, you got to triple bid this, but
Yeah.
Have you done anything that's direct to brand?
yeah, all summer long I was freelancing at an awesome company.
Well, what are your thoughts on the difference between like agency direct to brand? Do you have a preference?
I like the magic of an agency. Like it's fun, going into an office and there's the designers, there's the copy, all these different people. There's like a fun atmosphere. The direct to brand stuff is nice because like, at least in my experience, it's just like such a faster, cleaner process. I don't know if you always get better work because you have just like less talent available. But I had so much fun when I've done direct to brand stuff.
Yeah.
And it's easier, like, and when you work direct to brand, like, they just have like policies that are good for the employees that like they treat their own well. Like, there's so many clients where like, we actually have half days on Friday, but we need this Monday. So you guys are gonna have to work full days, but we're gonna do our company policy and take the half day off. But when you're at the brand, you're direct to brand stuff, you get that half. The expectations a little bit better.
Do you see it swaying one way or the other, like moving forward? Like we always just talk about it and go back and forth on like, is the model gonna change eventually from like agency to direct to brand?
More and more brands are having internal agencies.
Yeah.
I don't know how successful those are. I think like a lot of agency advertising people are always trying to like, every time I get like go to like a rep lunch or whatever and hang out with other agency people or go to agency party, everyone's like, yeah, like the future of advertising is this, future advertising is that. I got no vested interest in that. Like, I'm trying to make money today. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to make things today. So like with myself, I try to just get better and better at setting boundaries, and that's all I can do. But I don't know, like I kind of like Netflix is supposed to be having ads soon.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
For us, because like TikTok fucking sucks.
Yep.
The ads aren't effective. No one wants to spend money, but they want to spend so much time on it. And you got to shoot it on an iPhone. And even if you shoot stuff good on an iPhone, you got to shoot it bad.
Yep.
And like,
Yeah, they want it to look organic. And
the actual platform fucking sucks.
Yeah.
So like I fucking hate TikTok. So I'm really hyped that Netflix is gonna have commercials. I think most people aren't. Like, I'm like, oh, we're gonna make big spots again. Netflix is gonna have like a 4K mandate. They're gonna have like quality control mandates, and like anytime I'm on like a Hulu TV ad or like a YouTube pre-roll, those are my favorite stuff. When I do like social first stuff, sometimes it's come out pretty cool, but like for the most part, it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to work 3 times extra for same pay. Got to pull all my favors that I want to save for my personal project.
Yeah. I'm curious, do you have any like specific project that stands out that's been like your most successful like campaign that you've done?
There was a project I did at JWT. That's like my favorite thing for the team, what we did. The team that we worked with was like amazing. I was like 23 when we made it. So like they were all like just like mentors to me. But we made It's for Northwell, the hospital brand, in New York, and we took a veteran amputee, and we created like an amphibious prosthetic that can go from land to water. Like, I didn't create it; the hospital brand created it.
Wow.
But it was the agency's idea to do it, and then we challenged the hospital to make it.
That's cool.
They made it, and I just got to document the whole thing. So I would just show up every day with a 5D, just filming it, and then going home and editing it. And then it turned into like this like 8-minute documentary. It got covered on like this front page of the New York Times science section. My dad's like a science professor, so I was like,
Oh, wow.
fuck yeah, making him proud.
Yeah.
And then we cut it down to do TV spots all through the World Series. So like that, I don't think I'll ever top that. Like, because like I always think it's so funny when like CCOs are like, we're making the world better through advertising. It's like, you work for Exxon.
Yeah.
You know, or like your brand uses slave labor. I saw one agency made like they called out the World Cup for being built by slaves, which was cool. Then you go on their site and the first thing is an Adidas spot. Where the fuck do you think those shoes are made?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's cheesy, but we actually made something like that helped this one guy. Like, he could go swimming with his kids.
Yeah.
And that was like the coolest thing.
Yeah. I'm curious because you mentioned your dad. Like, what do your parents think about you doing this?
They're happy I'm working. I'll tell you, I'm half Indian, half white, and you know, like stereotypical Indian parents, like, they don't want their kids to be creative, right? But my dad was like always been so supportive. Like, go to film school, do the shit. He's honestly like, why are you still working in advertising? Go make movies. Like, I'm like, it costs money. And my mom is very supportive now. But when I like in high school, I was like, I'm gonna go to film school. She's like, be a doctor. You know, so like, she was a stereotypical Asian parent, and my dad was like the hippie, like, go make shit.
Wow.
That's cool. I'd love to now just like hop into your graphic novel. I'd love for you guys to tell us like how you got into this, why'd you start this, and yeah, whatever you can.
Yeah, so the book is about a liberal news anchor and a conservative news anchor that are secretly banging. When they're caught, they got to survive all the death threats from the extremes they created. You know, as our country spirals towards civil war, I saw the basic fundamentals of a rom-com. So I just started writing. I started writing the second half of 2020. Got a draft done, submitted it to some competitions, like got finalists in some competitions, shortlisted for the blacklist. And it was funny because every time I would get feedback, like, people with like the actual writing, people had nothing but great things to say. And then they would talk about the politics and whatever. It was like an ink blot politically. Like, if you were conservative, you were like, I liked it, but you know, you're a little too hard on conservatives. If you were liberal, like, I liked it, but you're a little too hard on the liberals. It was like the best feedback I got, because I was like, all right, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I got some meetings with like people who made like produced like Oscar nominated movies, who were like, I love this script, it's so funny. And I'm like, all right, let's get McConaughey attached, like, let's fucking do this thing. And they're like, we're never gonna make this, like, it's too political. And then around those meetings I met Alex Liu, who is this illustrator, and illustrator is a bad term for him. He's just an artist. He was the artist of the book. And he is a storyboard artist. And
How'd you find him?
My friend, who's a cinematographer, just like introed us, because I've always loved comic books, and every time I write a script, I'm like, man, I want to make it as a comic book, and then I like post in like crew Facebook groups, like, anyone want to make a comic book? And then people respond, yeah, you got $100,000? No.
Yeah.
All right, that was a fun attempt.
So you wrote this originally as a screenplay.
Yeah.
You got all that feedback from different studios and different competitions that you submitted to, and then you adapted it into a comic book.
Yeah. So I met Alex.
Yep.
And, you know, he makes good money as a storyboard artist, but I was like, take a look at this. Let me know if you ever want to make it as a comic book. He read it. He's like, I love it. It's going to take me working full time on this to do it. So we agreed on a rate, and we agreed to do the first 20 pages of the script as issue 1. And then we were going to take that and send it to publishers and try to get money to do the full thing. And as he was working on it, I started just doing research on publishing and self-publishing and looking at Kickstarter specifically, how people were launching comic books on there and making solid money and solid returns on it. And we finished issue 1. I sent it to like one publisher, and then I was like, and we, the best part of working with Alex was like, he finishes around 3 a.m. So I wake up around 4 a.m. to go pee every night. So I would wake up to pee, check my phone, and just see like beautiful artwork from Alex, and just like go back to bed with like a giant smile on my face.
Yeah.
So we finished issue 1, and I just missed that feeling, and I like looked at my bank account, and I'm like, oh, I can afford this 2 more times.
Yeah.
We knew we have 6 issues, but I was like, well, if we do this 2 more times, we'll have 100 pages. That's enough to sell, and then we can maybe make the money back to do volume 2. So I sat down with Alex again. I'm like, do you want to keep doing this? Because I was paying him a lot for me, but not a lot for him to be working full time, because he's a talented fucking artist. Like, I keep thinking to myself, like, one day, like, he's going to paint something that's going to be worth like $10 million, and you can get 100 pages of his art for $30 right now. Like, it's an amazing deal for how talented of an artist he is. And he was like, yes, let's keep doing it. So we own the IP 50/50 once I recoup all my initial expenses.
Got it.
So we're about 60 to 70% of the way through, just through Kickstarter. The thing that the Kickstarter taught me was I have like a massively supportive community. A lot being from just a couple of ad agencies that I worked at, and people I freelance with. You were very supportive, Austin.
Yeah.
And but we, for some reason, like, even our community constantly was sharing it during the Kickstarter phase. We just couldn't break through that wall to like really turn this into like a cult hit that I think it can and should be. So but now people are finally reading it, and we're getting like just like the best feedback we wanted. So we're trying to strategize. Okay, now we got the books printed, we have an Amazon listing, have an online store, we have all this content that we made. So how do we get it to the audience that we know is there? So that's kind of our next step.
Yeah, and overall, like, what's your main goal with Polarized?
The original goal when we did issue 1 was to get a development deal and make it as a movie. Now I just like making it has gotten me back into comic books, and I kind of love the medium, and I love Alex's art. And I wrote it as a live action thing, but then when I read it, I'm like, wow, no, like, I wrote this for Alex's art. Like, only he understands it. So I would still love for it to be like an animated series or something on Netflix or HBO or whatever. But like, I just kind of love it being this comic book. And like, in like Brooklyn, there's like all these like community mailboxes where people just leave books that they finished. And like, I've taken some books and read some of the best books I've ever read like through this. So I'm really excited to start putting Polarized in there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, we were going to advertise. We make 30-second commercials, or, we make videos, web series, and even like feature films and stuff. Like, it doesn't beat TikTok. Like, it's still just content now. It's visual content. And like, this is something that like, you're really going to spend some time with. You're going to hold in your hands. Comic books are fun because like, you'll read a page and then you'll go like, wait, I got to read that again. And the first time you read, it'll take 30 seconds. The second time you read it will take an hour, because you're just like diving into the Easter eggs of the art. And like, it's funny because there are still Easter eggs. Like, I wrote this book, and Alex is so talented that like, I will just like flip through it and be like, what the fuck? I never noticed that thing like in the back there. And it's really funny because like, I just hired him to do storyboard work for this campaign I did. And like, we're shooting next week. We've had these storyboards for like 6 weeks now. And I realized he put like all the characters from Polarized into the storyboards.
That's funny.
Yeah. He's just like a little boy genius.
Yeah. How'd you guys decide on the style of like the animation and stuff? Was like back and forth, or he just nailed it on the first go?
He kind of just nailed it on the first go. Like, I think that the first thing he sent was here. I'm gonna take the first thing he said. He's like, "What do you want the cover to be?" And I was like, "It should be a donkey fucking an elephant." And then he just texted me this little image here.
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right, we're in."
Yeah.
And then literally these first 3 pages, this the television's exploding, and this were the first things he sent. And I was like, oh, I got no notes, you did it. And I would break up the script into like a 15-page issue, and then we would sit down, drink like 5 coffees, we black out on the cold brew, and then he'll just like thumbnail the whole thing. Like I'll be like, oh, this is a reference to this, and then he'll be like, oh, what if we did this? It's like a really nice collaborative thing. And then he just goes off and makes it and sends me pages at 4 a.m., 3 a.m. 4 a.m. is when I pee.
Yeah.
And part of me is like, I know I shouldn't greenlight volume 2 yet because I don't really have the money, but like it's just so fun getting his artwork every day. Like especially it's the stuff.
It's like a high for you
Oh my God,
because you're seeing your writing come to life visually.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. It's just such a good feeling. And it's the best part of this, honestly, has been people going up to me and Alex going like, oh, we're gonna make a comic book now. Like we're gonna go on Kickstarter and do what you did. And I'm like, that's what I want, because I think the filmmaking industry is like run by it. We're kind of in the Succession phase, right? Where like the Brian Cox character was a fucking cutthroat businessman, but he ran his business well. But now you just got a bunch of people who've never done anything for themselves running it. And like the film industry has kind of been inherited by a lot of people who don't understand why people love movies. They don't understand that like to run a business, you need to make a profit. And they're just chasing growth, and they're chasing shit that doesn't make good movies or good business. And I think the next era, I was saying I don't like how people predict shit, but I think for filmmaking, I think the next era is like, it's going to be artists who just figured out how to do things on their own. I'm really inspired by stand-up comedians, like all these guys like Sam Morrill, Mark Normand. They just made their audience themselves, and now everyone's coming to them to get a piece of their audience. They're not going after Netflix's audience. They said, we're going to make our own.
Yeah.
And it goes further, like Louis C.K. was like one of the originals of it, and I'm always like, yeah, Louis is my hero as a businessman.
Yeah, you're a comedian. You do stand-up comedy.
I know real stand-up comedians who like grind.
Yeah.
And I get really embarrassed calling myself a comedian around them, but I love telling people in advertising I do comedy.
Yeah. We need to go to a show in New York.
Yeah. Next time you're in. Yeah.
I'm curious too, just on this, like now that you have it done and you finally put it all together, like what's your marketing strategy, or what is a strategy for like comic books so like you get as many people to get their eyes on it?
Yeah, I don't know. We did the Kickstarter, and it's really funny because we got project we love immediately. Like that's like the Kickstarter staff pick, and we were on the front page for like the first week, and everything else that was on the front page as us had the same goal of like 15K as us. We all hit 15K really fast. Like we all hit our goal faster than like the average, way faster than the average Kickstarter project. And then they kept going, and we just stayed
kind of
flat at, we did like 18K in total, like because we got some stuff off of Kickstarter.
And what was your goal?
15.
Yeah.
So we broke the goal. Like,
yeah.
It's so funny with this shit because like me and Alex, we just realized like, yeah, we're never gonna be happy. Like we did so well, and we're like, we could have done better. Like
greed, and everybody.
Exactly. I think it's greed, but also just like
our expectations.
Yeah, it's just like you always see what other people are doing, and
for sure,
what are they doing? And so, but on Kickstarter, there's like erotica comics that do like 100K, and so we thought about like changing our branding because we have sex scenes in there. And actually, it's funny, they wouldn't let us post the donkey fucking the elephant on Kickstarter because they said animals can't have sex, so we couldn't even show our cover on Kickstarter. We had to show like different pages. But then like literally like the highest grossing comic book on Kickstarter this year, like the cover art was like a guy going down on a girl and her tits were just like out.
Yeah.
It's a huge erotica audience on Kickstarter that we were like, should we try to tap into? But then we just didn't do it. We made this TikTok series with this influencer where we stood outside of Fox and MSNBC and like as people would walk out, he'd be like, hey, would you fuck a Democrat? Would you fuck a Republican? The funnest part of this was like using my advertising muscle for shit that I made. Like it's my product, like, because I love working in advertising. I love working with creatives. And then it's like always just soul crushing. You work so hard and the client's like, but what if it was worse?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And this time around, like, I'm watching my cuts, but it's funny because I kind of see where they're coming from. Because like, we'll make something and it's great. And I'm like, but are people going to understand this for a comic book? Like, how do we like educate in it? So it's made me a better advertiser doing this comic book. It's made me a better writer. me a better filmmaker. It's been so fun. The worst part of it has been having to put myself out there on social media, because I literally stopped posting this year, and then I posted like, I probably posted equal to my entire account like in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Just to shell this thing.
I mean, dude, congrats! Like for something that started as a thought to something you started writing, and then something that started getting illustrated to like actually being out, and that people have put over close to $20,000 in, and you sold a couple hundred copies. Like, it's amazing.
Thank you. I have to think like that instead of like, man, you know, my friend from college didn't back the Kickstarter. Does he like her anymore?
I mean, I for us, like as business owners, like you creating this, but that's a business. Like, and us as business owners, like we get stuck in our heads all day, like we have very big ambitions and goals and dreams on where we want to come.
You're fucking crushing it.
Yeah, but it's so easy to get like stuck and down on like the little shit that happens.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like you just have to fucking move on. And, like,
You gotta keep pushing.
just keep,
You
exactly.
have a North Star, right? And you
exactly.
gotta take the shit that doesn't go your way and then re-strategize.
Yeah. I was going to ask for you, now that you've done this and it's out and people are purchasing it and you've gone through this whole process, like what advice would you give somebody that wants to do something like this and create their own comic book?
You just gotta go do it.
Yeah.
Like that's what it was. Like there was that really at never any point during this was I like, man, I can't believe I'm spending this money, or like, you know, it was just like, it was always just great.
Yeah.
It was always like rewarding. And like I've done short films where I've lost money on it, and it's like, doesn't matter. Like, it's better than the money.
Yeah.
Like is the thing. Like I made a short film.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. Like I made a web series, and I I lost money on those things, but like whatever. I may have made, I'm not like broke, and yeah. Just don't go broke doing this thing. But like,
for sure.
don't ruin relationships, but make it.
One thing I meant to ask earlier, you said you got all that feedback from like these different studio execs on the story. Did you take any of their feedback and adjust?
The feedback wasn't,
because it was about the actual politics.
Yeah, like,
and it was just their personal opinion, so it doesn't really matter.
No, well, yeah, like it's actually a really great question. Like the feedback was never on the actual writing. The feedback on the writing was that they loved it.
Yes.
Right? The feedback was on the politics, and the whole point of it is like,
what's that?
It was that. It was like, when you think like that, it's not a healthy way of thinking.
Yeah.
Right? Seeing things through a partisan lens is not mentally healthy, and not everyone does it. And this is just making fun of that, and it's telling a love story of people who have to like look past that to finally find love. Like they profit off hate, they're lonely, and they're looking for love. Because I genuinely believe like the people who run this country are like some of the loneliest people in the world, and that's why they're assholes. They just fucking have no friends.
Yeah.
No real friends. I mean, Kanye is a perfect example.
Yeah.
He does not have a single relationship that's lasted more than 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Settled.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'm curious about is you've complimented Alex a lot. Like, what would he say about working with you? And like, what do you think your strengths are? And like, what do you need to work on?
I hope he would say I let him be. Like, you know, like I just like let him tell me how to get where I want to go. And that's how I am as a director, is like, I want everyone who works on something that we're making to feel the ownership and passion about it that I have. And the way for me to do that as a manager is go, this is what I would like this to be. This is why you're on the job, like as a DP.
You bring more to the table.
Yeah, and so you tell me how we get there.
Yeah.
And sometimes you bring on crew members, you bring on collaborators, and they're like, no, I want you to tell me how to do it. And then it's like, okay, but that's not why, like then it's never fun for anybody that way.
But there's also directors that are like yourself that I know, but I also know directors that are like, I don't want advice from any crew member. I don't want my DP telling me what to do. I as a director want to tell my DP and my production designer exactly what I want, and they just have to fucking execute. I don't want their opinions and their feedback.
So I'm curious from your end, like as like a very successful producer, executive producer, production company, when you work with a director like that and you work with a director who's more like collaborative, who do you like? And is there a difference in the final product, or is there, because sometimes I'm like, man, maybe I should be an asshole.
Yeah.
Like maybe I have to be an asshole to like.
No, I don't think being an asshole helps get you anywhere.
Yeah.
I think like being respectful to people for both the short term and the long term, but I think being just in general, somebody that's wants to collaborate with people. Like our industry is so fucking collaborative.
Yeah.
But like to be somebody that wants to be successful, like collaborating with people is everything. Like, yes, you can be successful and being like this, like Hitler type person where it's like everyone has to do exactly what you say.
Yeah.
Yes, it could work, but I just don't think it. I don't like working with directors in that way.
I agree. And I definitely had, as like an agency producer, directors like that. And I'm just like, I haven't creative directors like that,
Yeah.
especially who are like, they're literally over the art director's shoulder.
Yeah,
like
then you just
telling-
fucking do it.
exactly. Just do it. You know, they're over everyone's shoulder.
Yeah.
And
What do you think that is?
I think that's, they like Stanley Kubrick and they don't have his talent. Like, because like, you know, we said all this shit, like, you know, it's nice, it's collaborative, it's all that.
They're also not confident.
There is it's all lack of confidence.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to communicate. I don't think.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's like a spoiled brat gene in them too, like where their parents got them whenever they wanted. They never disciplined them, so now like they don't know how to like actually work with other adults. But you know, we say all this shit. Like Stanley Kubrick is still one of the greatest directors of all. Like, you know, like it's interesting, right? Because it's like some of my favorite art are made by probably horrible assholes.
For sure.
But I don't want to be that.
Of course.
You know, Paul Thomas Anderson seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Exactly. I really hope he is.
Yeah.
You know, during like Me Too, I literally in my head it was just like, really hope Paul Thomas Anderson is good. I think I prayed.
I bet. Love that. Cool. Well, yeah, we appreciate you coming on the green room, and it was great getting to just know more about you and your thoughts on the industry. Where could people buy your comic book?
We're on Amazon.
Okay.
You got to search Polarized, the graphic novel. If you just search Polarized, you'll get sunglasses. I cannot vouch for those sunglasses. We also have an online store, polarizedstore.com, and you can get shirts, prints, ebooks.
Like the one you're wearing?
Yeah, like the one I'm wearing. There's a back to it, but that's where you get it. I
Any social channels for him or anything?
I'm Tom Mishra on Instagram. As you've heard me talk about, I hate Instagram, but you got to do it.
Yeah.
So I guess follow me. And Alex is on Instagram too. Fellow Yolks,
Okay.
like yolk, the egg.
Yeah.
That's his Instagram. He also hates Instagram, but we're both like, all right, we got to get over this and start posting more. But yeah, thanks for having me. I just want to say, I was at your holiday party yesterday, wide range of age and experience.
Yep.
Everyone speaks so highly of you guys.
Thank you.
You got Adam.
Thanks a lot.
is not an easy person to impress. Very impressed by you guys. Like, you guys are doing something special. I don't know. I wrote for everyone who backed. I wrote handwritten cards. Did you read the one I wrote for you?
No.
Oh,
I literally just got it because I was out of town. I just got home. I took it out of the package and it's sitting on my counter.
well, I don't want
ready
to
go.
spoil it for you, but I just said I think what you guys are doing is amazing, but I'm also extremely envious. I mean, you guys both, because you guys are fucking crushing it. It's crazy. You guys, how old are you guys?
26.
Fuck you. I'm 29. I'm young, and I'm like still like, this is insane. Like, you look at your office, you look at all the amazing work that you guys have done.
Thank
You
you.
meet the filmmakers that are on your roster. Like, these guys fucking know their shit. Like, you're gonna make a podcast. I was like, I saw it. I'm like, man, that looks fucking. Most people when they're like, we're gonna start out with the podcast, it's the Zoom.
Yeah.
It's the shitty fucking mics.
Yeah.
You're doing it like right in front of the air conditioning, so the sound sucks. Like, or it's like on Zoom,
Yeah.
Like, you guys, like, you really embrace quality, and like craft.
Yeah.
we appreciate it.
we just care in general, and yeah, we just care about all the processes and everybody involved, and we're very picky about the people we work with and
Yeah.
surround ourselves with, and we just want to work with good people and enjoy the process and make good stuff.
Ready for this? When we made our shirts,
Yeah.
we took out your shirts and measured how
mentioned it.
big the 626
Yeah.
logo was, because I loved the proportion.
Yeah.
And I loved where it fit on the
Dude,
nipple.
fuck yeah. That means so much.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love your clothes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like, you guys
Thank you.
are already doing like 5 different awesome things.
Yeah.
All right, this is the green room, so
Yeah.
bipolarized.
Yeah. Exactly.
Stop triple bidding.
Yeah.
Tom Mishra, everyone.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate
Yeah, this
you,
is
man.
awesome. Thank you guys.
4:29 on the dot. We're ready.
Oh, let's go. Wow.